welcome to another episode of Truly Tenay, where I offer a life-giving perspective on some common experiences. Today I wanted to share with you some of the things that I have learned about chronic illness as I've pursued my own healing journey. I hope that they will be interesting for you to meditate upon and see which of them resonate with you. One of the most frustrating things that I experienced when I started my chronic illness healing journey 10 years ago was that I would go to doctors and I would say, one, what is happening? And two, why is it happening? And often they could tell me some biological symptoms about what is happening. They would say, you have a biochemical imbalance of this or that. It just spontaneously occurred. There's nothing you did to make it happen, and there's therefore nothing you can do to make it stop happening. Although I believe they said that out of a sense of sympathy to try to not make being ill a condemning experience, I found that it was incredibly disempowering, because if I didn't know that I had some part to play in it, then I didn't feel like I had any power to change it, and therefore I had to wait for a spontaneous cure from the universe without making any changes in my own life to make that more likely. I have developed this model of how I believe chronic illness develops, and I'm sharing this with you so that you can then see different places that we can intervene in this process to stop chronic illness from getting worse and then potentially reverse the process. For me, I put it into a 3-step process right now. Step 1 is that persistent stress develops and continues. Step 2 is that it leads to metabolic dysfunction. And step 3 is that it builds a lifelong program of responding to that dysfunction in your body. Let's start with step 1, persistent stress. I believe that persistent stress, aka the pumping of cortisol in your body almost all the time, is often from post-traumatic stress disorder. I personally believe that 1/4 to 1/3 of our American population has complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a separate disease from acute post-traumatic stress disorder, according to the World Health Organization. However, in America, they just lump it all together as post-traumatic stress disorder. I believe that complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which is often developed in childhood, aka childhood trauma, but can also be developed in a domestic violence situation, living in a war zone, experiencing human trafficking, being in an emotional or narcissistic abuse relationship, etc. Those are all persistent stress developers that are pumping cortisol all the time for years and years and years. Post-traumatic stress disorder from acute traumas, like experiencing 9/11 in person or the death of a family member. And then there are even little t traumas, life experiences that everybody has, but they are incredibly stressful, like moving, like losing a job, like starting a new job, like divorce, having kids. All of those things can create stress. Either you're living a lifestyle where you're having a lot of acute traumas or little t traumas, or you were traumatized so badly over a long period of time that your body is now under this persistent stress, then you're pumping cortisol in your body all the time. When you couple persistent stress, often from PTSD, with an unbalanced lifestyle, a lifestyle where you are not getting enough sleep, 8 hours a day on average, enough awake downtime, rest, so having weekends, evenings, taking vacation for 2 to 4 weeks a year, when you're not having enough social time and interacting with community to offload some of these emotional burdens of having these traumatic experiences, or just the regular stress of life, then you can't really manage that stress and reduce that cortisol level over time. So that then sets you up for metabolic dysfunction. Now, cortisol is a hormone. It's a biochemical that, when released, it can, for example, shut down your digestive system and activate your cardiovascular system so that you can be prepared to fight or flight. When those hormones are constantly pumping and constantly telling parts of your body to do different things, that then causes our body to become sensitive to toxins in our environment. Those metabolisms become warped over time because they just are constantly being intervened by cortisol. Because they're designed to only be interrupted only when necessary, only for real life-threatening situations. But if they're being interrupted all the time by cortisol, then they just start breaking down.
To be continued.